What's going on, guys? Coming to you from the famous Stub Cycles in Houston, Texas, and look at this machine I get to bring to you today. Guys, this is a 2025 Rebel 1100 with a twist. This one has the dual clutch transmission. No clutch on this motorcycle for you to actuate. This bike handles all of that for you. Pretty weird for me anyway. Never ridden a motorcycle like this before, so this will be a first, and you're coming along for the ride. Now, this particular bike, new for 2025, you've got the bigger TFT screen, multiple riding modes, programmable custom riding modes, all of that available to you on this bike. One thing that's not available to you is a clutch lever. This is so weird. This motorcycle is a true automatic transmission. It is different from a e-clutch or anything like that. This motorcycle has its own proprietary dual clutch transmission that is, by all accounts, really good. This is gonna be my first time, so we're gonna give this thing a shot. I'll give you my impressions, so let's get it going. .1100 parallel twin on this good looking Rebel. I gotta tell you, the bobber style and the seating position of this bike is nice, and I love that it's not a Me Too style bike. It really is its own. Exhaust is a little bit subdued, not really super loud, which is good. Now, here's how this whole thing works. I have already preset it in sport mode. This is your gear selector in essence. So we're going to put this thing in drive. Oh, there you go. By the way, you have to make sure that the kickstand is up or it will not go into drive. You can also use this where it says D and M for drive and manual modes. You can shift it manually with downshift here and upshift over here. This lever right here is actually a parking brake. This thing is so different from what I'm used to, guys. So without any further ado, let's get her on the road. Wow, this thing is shifting so smoothly. Before I get too far away, I want to give a huge thank you to Hunter and the rest of the crew at Stub Cycles for allowing me the opportunity to bring this motorcycle to you guys. Oh, weird. I'm so looking for a clutch. But I gotta tell you, just already I'm kind of getting used to it. It's pretty intuitive. Wow, this Rebel 1100 is pretty punchy. Wow, that is so weird. So I'm trying to, I guess, get used to not doing anything with my hand over here. Looking at our gear indicator. And it downshifts. That is so wild. Okay, guys, so it's just like driving an automatic transmission in a car. Absolutely no different whatsoever. You do have an option to downshift if you need to, but it will do all of that for you. Oh, and this engine is so punchy. We can manually downshift it even in drive. Got a 6-speed gearbox on this bike that is, well, very smooth in that it's an automatic. Nice, comfortable riding position. Wow, it does pick up quickly too. The bike's pretty quick, quicker than what you might think. And I have to admit also that for a 504-pound cruiser, it's actually pretty lively. This is going to take a little bit of getting used to, but I got to tell you, it's not bad. And again, it is very intuitive with how it feels on downshifting. We can actually grab a couple of gears, and there's no lurching or anything like that at all, even on downshift. Upshift's just fine. That is so cool. The neat thing about this is that once you get a little bit of time on a motorcycle like this, I'm still looking for a clutch. Once you get any time on a motorcycle like this, it does become very intuitive. It almost becomes like the way that the bike should be in terms of the way that it downshifts and just how the bike goes through the gears. It doesn't upset the chassis. Again, there's no lurching, there's no anything. You grab a couple of it just downshifts instantly. There is absolutely no lag. Oh wow, that's so cool. That is really neat. Okay, so there is absolutely no weighting whatsoever. If you just tap the downshift button, which is right here, or the upshift button, but really the downshift, it just absolutely crisply downshifts. One thing I will say is I've got to make sure that, you know, if you've ever sat on a bike and you're sitting at a stoplight and you kind of blip the throttle, you've got to make sure that you remember that you're on a motorcycle that is automatic, because if you blip the throttle, it wants to move forward. So that's something that, you know, if you're pulling into a parking lot or something like that. Ooh. Here we go. Just gonna let her go through the gears. Look at that. Wow, that's wild. Very smooth engagement. What a different experience, guys. Let's go ahead and merge into traffic here. Wow. She will get spicy. This is a pretty quick bike, guys. This 1100cc parallel twin is putting down around 80 horsepower at the back tire. So there's plenty of power. Yeah, there's plenty of power. This is a great, what I would consider to be a really good commuter style bike. God, that DCT. It's funny, I want to play with it more. The more that I'm riding it, the more intrigued I'm becoming with this. If you've never ridden a bike with a transmission like a DCT or any of the E-clutch type transmissions, where this one does set itself apart is that there is no provision for a clutch. All of the clutch activities are managed through the computer. And so slow speed maneuvers at first can be a little bit weird. If you noticed back there just a minute ago, I'm so used to modulating a clutch and a throttle at slow speeds that you might initially get kind of a strange sensation that something's just not right, because you're not doing something that you're used to doing. But once you start getting used to it, or once you become used to it, I think this is going to be pretty intuitive. And for a lot of folks, this might be the best option for them in terms of, you know, what is a good Mustang sounds good. What would be a good, you know, place to put this bike for folks that may be new to riding? Somebody that is maybe not comfortable with a clutch. This bike would be a great, it would make for a great opportunity for folks to get into riding that maybe wouldn't be so enthusiastic about trying to learn how to work a clutch and a gear lever, or for somebody that is just simply looking for a simple means of fair weather back and forth commuting, that type of a scenario would fit this bike exceptionally well. It's making a lot of usable torque. Again, 1100 cc's. It's not very heavy. At 509 pounds, I believe, is what it is rated at, full of fluids. But it is a modern metric cruiser. So it's not a Me Too bike in that it's got low exhaust and all of that. Nothing like that at all. This bike's got a nice high exhaust, which means that you've got plenty of ground clearance for cornering. And I can tell you, just by riding this bike in more or less the same way I would ride any other motorcycle, I would never feel like I would have to worry about ground clearance and getting this bike over on the side of the tire, going through twisties or anything like that. I think you can have a lot of fun with this bike and still retain that cruiser, that modern metric cruiser aesthetic. And it's properly punchy. Guys, I'm liking this a lot. I'm loving the idea of having a motorcycle with a transmission that acts like what you would expect, and maybe, and obviously what you would be used to in an automobile. And there is no pedal or no lever. There's no lever at my foot. There's no gear shift. There's no clutch. There's no nothing. Which, again, it has taken a little bit of getting used to, but again, you spend just a couple of minutes on this thing and start to become acclimated to how this machine operates. And you kind of forget about it. You don't really think about the clutch because obviously you don't have to use it. And I don't find myself, you know, it's kind of weird. You get used to something like the shifter lever just kind of being there, and you kind of touch it with your foot. It's weird. Just the reason why I'm even mentioning this is because of where my feet are, always right on the balls of my feet, and I'm like right now coming to tread it. There is no downshift. Anyway, it's like, oh my goodness, I lost my shifter lever. Anyway, it shifts so smoothly. Low speed transition from gear to gear is so nice on this bike. Go ahead and get back up to highway speed. This is a lively little bike, guys. You've got her in sport mode, so it will hold the gears a little bit longer, as you would expect, but you can always shift it, downshift or upshift whenever you want to. And again, downshifting, we're in 6th gear, it just immediately, there is absolutely no lag on downshift or upshift. That is so cool. It's, in a lot of ways, it's like having a quick shifter right here on your left hand. This is fun. This is cool that it's so different. And we're just kind of cruising along here at highway speeds. This Rebel 1100 is so comfortable and nice to ride. Obviously a relaxed riding position on this bike. It is a Rebel, but I don't feel cramped at all. And I am just shy of 6 feet tall, 32-inch inseam, have a comfortable bend in my knees, a nice comfortable reach to the bars. I can see myself having a lot of fun with this bike. As a commuter, it's great. Again, lots of punch. And from the rider's seat, it sounds pretty good too. It's got a nice induction growl. I think that's a bit of a trademark of modern motorcycles, is that pronounced induction growl that you get with these bikes. That is really good sounding. I like that. What a fun experience. And it's cool that we have this kind of technology now, where let's say you are a little bit intimidated by trying to work a clutch, or you know, maybe there's a physical reason why. Either way, it's cool that we have the option now for folks to be able to enjoy motorcycling that may have not wanted to have or didn't have the time to put into learning, or that have, you know, other reasons why that they wouldn't be able to ride with a clutch. This thing, when it downshifts, it's really good. You can feel it downshift in the same way that if you were just downshifting normally, you can feel that in the bike. It's really kind of neat. So you're still able to get some of those same sensations. Wow, that 1-2 shift is so smooth and silky. 2 to 3 even. This is so cool, and especially at low speeds, where if you're used to riding with, well, a normal motorcycle, you're going to be hunting for that clutch. You really will. You're going to be hunting for the clutch and trying to modulate power input. You don't have to. This motorcycle obviously does all of that for you. You got to remember not to blip it. But here's what I'm trying to illustrate for you right now while we're just waiting on this red light. Very soft. Throttle input gives you very soft engagement. That's nice. So it is not jerky at all. It is so smooth. That is so wild. You just barely roll into the throttle. I guess the reason why that's so fascinating to me is I'm still looking for a gear shifter down here. It's fascinating to me because of just how intuitive it is. That is so wild. So what you guys might be thinking is, okay, well, it does fine on the road. It's smooth engaging from a stop sign, but how about low speed, slow maneuvering? Well, we're in the parking lot now, and what I want to illustrate for you guys is how easy this machine is to ride and modulate. What I was showing you earlier is how the transmission is just super silky and smooth on a transition from stop to moving. But what I want to do is I want to drag this thing down real slow for you. And it's just like you can hear the engine acting just as though we have a clutch. The MSF course here. So what we're going to do is we're going to take advantage of this, and we're just going to kind of cruise around the parking lot MSF style. We are so slow, and it is so silky and so intuitive that you'd never miss having a clutch. Look at this. Is this crazy or what? This is the part that I was the most curious about among many, but the slow speed, it is so crazy how you can just absolutely just putt this bike around, and it is absolutely silky and not jerky, and so, I'm gonna say confidence inspiring, but I don't really know the right phrase to use here. It is so intuitive and so normal feeling. I'm trying to get it as low as I possibly can. Oh, this is so cool, guys. What an awesome experience. A huge thank you to Hunter and the crew at Stubbs Cycles for allowing me the opportunity to bring this bike to you. How cool is this? Get you guys a shot of this machine. And I think it's a great looking bike too. Again, it has its own unique style to it. It's not trying to be old school at all. This is modern cruiser with all the modern technology, drive modes, DCT, all the power to go along with it. Guys, if you've never had an opportunity to ride one of these types of motorcycles, you've got to do it. Get down here to Stubbs, talk to Hunter and the rest of the crew. Tell them you saw this video and you've got to check this out for yourself. And with that, guys, we're going to wrap it up. Thanks for stopping by. Hope to see you on the next one.